This here is my main wood storage. And this is my short bits of wood storage. It's no good. And then this drawer here contains various odds and sods that I keep for, that future project. It's all getting a little bit overcrowded in here, so some of it has to go. So in this one, we're going to make some wooden mallets. So to start off with, I'm just going to go through all my wood storage and grab all the short one-off pieces that you save for that, might need that in a project one day type of scenario. So what I've managed to collect is some sapele, iroko, walnut, African rosewood, which I used in my last project, some ash. We have zebrano, cherry, poplar, and some maple. Now for the handles, I've got these long strips here with the grain running straight, which are ideal for handles, and they're just oak and ash. So I have made a mallet before, and this is the very first mallet I made about 6 years ago. You can see it's well used. It probably needs refinishing again, but I'm going to use pretty much the same techniques I used to build this mallet in this build. So up until I started gathering all this wood together, I haven't even considered any types of designs for the mallets that I want to do. Now I want to build some of these mallets to give away to family and friends, so I don't want them looking all the same. So I'm going to go on my tablet here and do some research and see the different types of shapes and styles of mallets that are out there. Okay, so the next thing to do is to look for any features in the wood that I want to keep, and then I can experiment and see if any different types of wood suit each other. So this piece of maple here has a pretty bad bow towards the end of it. You can see here just how bad it is. And it's the same with this piece of cherry. So yep, you've guessed it, next step is milling. So it's back out to the garden workshop. Now I've had this Ferrix planer thicknesser for around 3 years I think now, and people ask me how I get on with it, and apart from the dust extraction, it does the job. It's easy to change the blades, I don't find it hard to set up, and although it probably doesn't leave the finish or works as quick as more expensive models, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Right, back into the workshop. Now that I've got everything planed down to size, I can set about cutting the wood for the mallet heads. I'm going for around 125mm in length by around 75mm in width. Now I'll move the angle of my miter saw to around 2.5 to 3 degrees. You don't have to be too precise on this. And now I'll start cutting out what will be the middle of these mallets. I'll demonstrate here on this piece of sapele, but basically when you cut through the middle of your stock, you're left with a tapered cut, like so. And if I flip this bit over, you're left with a wedge shape. So on this bit, I'm just marking what will be the middle on the back side of one of the mallet faces. So now we move on to the glue up. Now just get your glue spread all over the back of your mallet faces. It doesn't matter if it goes everywhere, because when they're clamped up, we'll have a chance to clean all the glue squeeze out off then. So as I said, I marked the middle point on the back of the mallet faces. Now when I put the middle bits in, creating that wedge shape, I'm just eyeballing it here and I'm aiming for around a 25mm gap. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can always mill down the handles if need be to fit in there. And then I find the best way to glue these up is to use parallel clamps. You can get some good pressure on them, and also you can rest the mallet heads on the bars and do some final tweaking and adjustments if needed before that final squeeze of the clamps. Now over on the laser cutter, I cut out these mallet handle templates, and I don't mind admitting that there is no way I was going to be able to freehand these to any decent standard, and I'll just use some double-sided tape to secure these handles to the stock I'm going to cut down. Luckily, I was able to avoid that little bit of saw blade cutout in this piece of cherry. Now, one of the problems of having a small garage workshop is not everything is accessible, so my bandsaw is tucked in a corner out of the way when not in use, so I can pull that out and then make a start on cutting out these handle templates. When cutting these handles out, I left around about a 2mm overhang from the edge of the template to the mallet handle so that I can come back with a router later on and clean the handles up. And because this bandsaw isn't a permanent fixture, I don't have any dedicated dust collection hooked up to it. So I've always got to wear a dust mask when using it. And, well, look, you can see here just how much of a mess it makes by not having any dust collection. So I do really need to sort that out. Now, I mentioned about some writing. Well, I found all this scrap being thrown out at work, and I utilised it to build myself a mini writer table. And being completely honest, this table's a bit like me. Doesn't look the greatest, but it does the job just fine. Now, not having a writer table before, I've probably not quite got the correct array of writer bits to be using, and I'm pretty sure for this type of task I should be using a compression type writer bit. But nevertheless, I gave it a go, and as you can see here on my first attempt, it left a really nice finish. And I started to get the hang of it, and I started to challenge myself a bit more, and I got a bit more confident, and I went a bit more, and then this happened. Oh well, it's not too bad. I can cut it off and reprofile it later on. So then, learning from my mistake, I continued to use a flush cut writer bit on the rest of the handles, but this time I avoided all the end grain. Now, living in the UK, you can guarantee that there are some certainties that are going to happen. And one of those is, every time you get your table saw out to use it outside, it's going to start to rain. So after a brief rain shower and packing everything away and getting it all back out again, I can make a start now on cleaning the mallet handles up. I needed to make a clean cut for the shoulders, and also I needed to cut out the grooves for the wedges that will go in the top of these handles. So to do that, I just clamped this piece of MDF onto the sliding mitre gauge, and then placed my handle alongside the MDF and clamped that in place. I then drew a line along the side of the handle so that when I come to cut the other groove in the other side, I can line the handle up with the mark, and then the two grooves should be evenly spaced apart. So it's the next day now, and the glue on the mallet heads should be dry. So I need to cut off all this excess wood. So first of all, I'll flush up one of the long sides of the mallet head, and then I'll reference that flush cut side against the guide fence of the mitre saw, and then cut one of the edges. Then I'll flip the mallet head over, still referencing that first initial cut along the long side, and then cut the other corner. Doing it this way, it should ensure that both ends of the mallet are cut 90 degrees to the top. On this mallet, I decided to cut a 5mm taper from top to bottom. And make sure you save that offcut, because we'll use that for wedges later. And on this mallet head, I decided to put a round over on the back of it, purely because I've just seen it online. And took it over to the disc sander, and then I just went back and forth trying to get it as round and as smooth as possible. So moving on to the next stage of finishing all these mallet heads, I went over all the edges with a router, and in the router was either a chamfer bit or a round over bit. To be honest, the majority of the mallets were finished with the chamfer bit, and the few mallets that I did put the rounded back on them, they were finished with a round over bit. Mallet handles got the same treatment with the router, but all those were finished with a chamfer bit, and this will just save time using a spoke shave to shape them. Okay, and then we can move on to everyone's favourite step, and that's sanding. Now I mark all the faces up on these mallet heads, and I'll start with 80 grit sanding discs. Although the finish from a planer is probably slightly higher than 80 grit, I like to use the 80 grit because then if there is any saw blade marks or slight chip out from the router process, I should be able to sand it all the way with the 80 grit sanding discs. I moved up through the different grits, so 80 to 120, and then 120 to 240. I don't sand the top of the mallet after 240, and then I moved on from 240 to 320. Then after a mammoth non-stop sanding session, this is how I felt when I turned the sander off. Now comes the nerve-wracking part, and that's gluing the handles up. You get this wrong, you mess up the whole mallet. The insert of the handle I'm just going to coat with loads of glue. If we get squeeze out, we can clean it up, but at least I know the handle is held in tight in place. And then I can get the wedges fitted into the top, and using a rubber mallet I can tap them into place. These ones, because I didn't make them quite thick enough, I had to hammer quite a way down, but usually I just knock them down until the handle's tight and it looks like the wedges are fitted evenly.
So I've let the mallets dry overnight. Now last night there was a little bit of a situation after I glued up the Purple Heart and Maple mallet. And that's because once I put the handle in, I didn't like the combination. The handle is from Oak and Purple Heart. This is Maple, Purple Heart and Ash. The Oak was the only thing I had left to match the Purple Heart with for the handle. Basically, I didn't like the two different types of contrast, so there was a mad panic to cut this handle off. I had to drill it out a few times. It was quite involved. But at the end of the day, I've lost a handle and I've saved a mallet head rather than losing a complete mallet. So out of these 9 mallets, yeah, one's not perfect, and this one I can remake again when I get some more maple. Right, let's get on to the finishing stage.
So now the glue's dry, you can cut the top of the handle and the wedges off. I just used my Japanese pull saw here, and this is the reason why I don't sand past 240 on the top. That's because I'll take it over to the disc sander and I'll sand everything smooth. There's a 240 grit disc on this sander, so basically I'm sanding the top to 240 grit twice. But then once I've got it all smoothed up, I'll sand the whole mallet head over it again with 320 grit, ensuring that I've not missed any areas. Now I've used the air compressor to blow off any dust residue, but I'll use these tack cloths to pick up any dust that I may have missed. I'm not sure if this is necessary on this type of project, but it's definitely not going to do any harm. Now for finish, because these mallets are going to be used and they'll probably need to be refinished regularly, I'm just going to use some of this clear re-wax. It goes on nice, it brings the colour of the wood out really well, it'll stop the wood attracting any moisture and mould growing on it, and it just adds that extra protective layer. Now, as nice as these mallets have turned out, I don't class myself the greatest photographer in the world, so here's some mediocre pictures of the finished results. I've already given a few of these mallets out and people are really happy with them. I'm happy with how they turned out. I'll end up keeping one of the Zebrano ones for myself, but I have a few left over, made a few too many, so I'm not too sure what to do with them. Anyway, let me know which ones you preferred in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.